Welcome back to the Takeout. Welcome to the Takeout Tavern. For decades, Republicans have emphasized the importance of state legislatures as a counterweight to the federal government. As GOP clout in rural America has increased, so too has the GOP's influence over policy at the state level. A new book, The Fourth Branch, written by former New York State Senator Daniel Squadron, takes a close look at this phenomenon and how Democrats generally have been, and to their detriment, he argues, overlooking state governments. Here's some of our conversation. This book is about a project that one political party in America has been at for some 50 years. What is that project? Which is the political party, and what needs to be done about it?
The project is to change power and really the face of America through the most unlikely of places, state legislatures. The party is the Republican Party, and really, if we're being most honest, it's a conservative movement that wanted to change the Republican Party. And way back in 1972, a guy named Paul Weyrich founded the Heritage Foundation. Everyone's familiar with that, authors of Project 2025. The same year, he co-founded ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, because he knew that his conservative vision for the country would only shift his party and the nation if he was also working in states. Even the Koch brothers, who were so famous for their network, weren't Republicans back then. They were
more
libertarians.
Yeah.
David Koch, I believe, ran as the vice presidential nominee against Ronald Reagan's ticket as a libertarian in 1980. But as they shifted toward the Republican Party, they wanted to change it too. So where did they look? States. These activists built power and fundraising networks in states so that by 2010, Karl Rove was able to announce Project Red Map to focus in that big Tea Party wave year, not just on Congress, but also on state legislatures. About a third of them were flipped that year. Meanwhile, Democrats, those left of center, my own party, asleep at the wheel.
This was hiding in plain sight, as you write in the book, The Fourth Branch. Very obvious to Democrats what was going on. Some of the biggest state legislative gains occurred during the so-called heyday of the Obama administration, when big gains were made in the Senate and the House here in Washington. But in the intervening Obama years, state legislative seats held by Democrats were laid to waste. Hundreds upon hundreds were washed away.
Nearly 1,000 Democratic state legislative seats were lost over Obama's presidency.
And no one seemed to, at that time, to think that was a problem.
It really didn't seem, a thing that would always happen. I was in the state legislature in New York for nearly a decade. And whenever I brought this up, people would say, oh, yes, we also care about state legislatures. But to also care about 50 mini Congresses, each with their own culture, history, processes, isn't caring at all. And the truth is, states are the fourth branch of our constitutional system, or even the first branch. It's the states that created the federal government, not the other way around.
Precisely.
And as we've seen in Supreme Court decision after Supreme Court decision, on the issues of the day that most captivate people, the states have power and are getting more.
As we talk today, there were two significant rulings, or one ruling about two states, Idaho and West Virginia, and the question of transgender athletes in middle and high schools.
I mean, look, on that issue that has been such a topic of conversation and culture, the Supreme Court said the same thing that it said about reproductive rights in the Dobbs decision, the same thing it said about how you draw congressional and state legislative maps in the Calais decision. The message is loud and clear. States are going to be given the power to make these decisions on these issues that captivate people.
And when you talk about this as a project, did those two things which you just said walk in lockstep? When state legislatures create a Supreme Court that would send more power back to the states?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that in the political conversation, the presidency and Congress takes up the lion's share of the space and oxygen. But on the issues people are most interested in, healthcare, energy, affordability, good jobs, civil rights, on every one of them, states have done more harm or good in the last 15 years than Congress or the presidency has. And in all cases, as with all laws in the country, the courts weigh in on the limits. And so you actually have this story that's outside of the political conversation of states and the courts shifting the face of the country, while everyone else is looking at the shiny object in the Oval Office.
You can listen to my full interview with Daniel Squadron on your favorite podcast platform.